Hi everyone, it's Tracy King, the Bulletin Board Lady, and I am so excited to be with you tonight to talk about one of my favorite subjects, workstations. Okay, shh, I'm live. My daughter's also right on the other side of me on her iPad singing a little bit, but hopefully I'll be a little louder than she is. So anyway, I'm Tracy King, and I am the blogger who writes at mrskingrocks.blogspot.com. You can find me at thebulletinboardlady.com. You can also find me on Teachers Pay Teachers and on various social media websites. I'm either at Tracy King or at the Bulletin Board Lady. And tonight for our Tracy Talk, I'm actually trying to do both a Facebook and an Instagram live at the same time. I didn't advertise the Instagram because I kind of wanted to try it out and see if it was going to work. So I'll definitely advertise it for the next Tracy Talk. But tonight it's kind of just a little bit of an experiment. So I'm in my living room. Yes, I am sitting on the floor at my coffee table, and I have some of my favorite pitch resources laid out to share with you tonight. So if you're watching and you want to share this to invite some more people in, hi people who are waving. I don't exactly know how to wave back yet, but I'll catch you later. Anyway, if you want to go ahead and share this video so that others can join you, please do. If you have any questions, the feed that I get is a little bit delayed, so you may ask a question right away, but I may not get it until I'm past that point. But I'll come back later this evening, and I'll definitely check back during the week for replay to make sure that I have answered all of your questions. So let's start with workstations and just a little bit about it. I know that some of you have been in my workstation workshops, so some of this you may already know. I prefer to do workstations about once every 4th or 5th class period, depending on what we're doing. So at the beginning of the year, it's usually like the 5th or 6th-ish week of school. I'm getting ready to do workstations with my next cycle with 5th graders. And as the year goes on, I like to, about every 4th or 5th class, I like to schedule workstations. And I usually schedule those, I usually plan those so that we're covering a topic in the workstations that we've been working on in class. So the pitch workstations that I've shared with you would definitely be some that I would mix in when we've really been working on Treble Clef pitch names, or as kind of a review at the beginning or the end of the year, just to kind of get a feel for where everyone is at. A lot of the activities that I'm going to share with you tonight can actually be done in small groups instead of in workstations, which, I mean, essentially it breaks down to being, you know, a few kids in a group at a time working together. But instead of doing 5 different workstations, you might be more comfortable doing one activity but having like 6 or 7 groups doing the same activity at the same time. So a lot of the stuff that I'm going to share with you, you can definitely use as workstation or small group. A question that I get a lot is, what's the perfect number for a workstation group or a centers group? The perfect number is probably 4. But in the real world, that doesn't usually work out for me, especially with some of my larger groups. So anywhere from 3 to 5 is what I shoot for in workstations, and 6 is only if I haven't had Diet Mountain Dew and I'm just crazy that day, because it's really too much for a lot of the activities that we'll do. So when I start pitch workstations, I actually have started in kindergarten and 1st grade. Right now, a lot of you know that I'm teaching 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, but I've only been doing that for a couple of years. And when I taught kindergarten, the concept of pitch, of course, we weren't really learning letter names or that kind of thing yet, even though some private students probably were if they were taking piano lessons. But we were starting with lines and spaces and I know this is backwards, but I use a bottle cap staff, and this is just a staff that it has lines wide enough that you can fit a bottle cap from like a 2-liter bottle or a water bottle or something like that can fit on. So with kinders, I would say, you know, when we have a note on the staff, and the staff is like the musical paper that we write our music on. If it is a line note, it has a line going right through it. So pretend that your head is the note and put a line right through your head. So you see the lines going right there in the middle of your face. And oh yeah, we can make lines. And then a space note is when your head fits in between two lines, so it's in the space in between that. So space note, line note, space note, line note. Seriously, someone needs to make up a dance or something for that, because I would totally learn it. And so that's where we start. And then with first grade, we'll review lines and spaces, and then we'll talk about melodic direction. So let's make a pattern on lines that goes up, or let's make a pattern on spaces that goes down. And then we, you know, talk a little bit more about how we read music the same way that we read words, from left to right. And it's a pretty good introduction. Late in the year in second grade, I like to introduce Mr. Everybody, and Mr. Everybody is a storybook and some extra activities and things that go with it from, I think it's called Miles Music. I'll look that up later and make sure that I put the comment in the notes. And it's a story about Mr. Everybody who lives in a 5-story apartment building, and of course, because he's the apartment owner or manager, he lives on the bottom floor. Who lives on the bottom floor? Mr. E lives on the bottom floor. And then he has other people that move into the second floor and the third floor and the fourth floor and the fifth floor. See where we're going here? In the basement is where Crazy Cat and Dumb Dog live. Yes, I know we shouldn't say dumb, but that's what the story says. Anyway, so Crazy Cat would be C, and Crazy Cat's always on the clothesline, and Dumb Dog is one of those yappy little chirpy, afraid of everything dogs that's stuck to the ceiling. And so that's kind of a great story for second grade. And then we play really simple CDE melodies on the bells or xylophones or boomwhackers or whatever I had available. And then in third grade, we really talk more about pitches and what their names are, and we do a lot of stuff with boomwhackers and xylophones, just introducing a few notes at a time. And so the workstations kind of get a little bit more complex from that point on. So after the bottle cap staff, and after they've been introduced to third grade at the middle-ish of the year, and then in fourth grade we review at the beginning of the year. And one of the things that I do is I put a glove, like a rubber glove or like a latex glove, or the lunch lady gloves that aren't really tight, and we draw the names of the lines and the spaces and use our hand staff to do that. And that's something that I left enough directions that I could probably do that in a workstation as well. And then we've got our hand staff that we can refer to in a handy dandy craft to take home to remember. So once we started playing boomwhackers or the little desk bells that are color coordinated for that, then I'll pull out some boomwhacker or bell coded, color coded music. This is an example from it's not something I did. I think that it's from Musical Magic. Maybe I'll also look that up and put it in the links, but it's kind of got everything color coded so that it would match those sets. So students that are not really reading pitch names very well yet can still find great success with boomwhackers or the handbells, and working in a group, then they can help each other with that. Another workstation for pitch that I really love is Amy Abbott. Hi, Amy, I love you. Amy Abbott's Treble Clef Uno. And it is in it's in a bundle. I think it's like card games and board games. I'll try to link you up with that too. And it's really cool because and it's all upside down and backwards, but imagine It has the letter name and the note that's on there, and this is great for 3rd grade and 4th grade who are trying to get this solidified in their head. And it works super, super great for small groups, like to break the class down into groups of 4 or so, and maybe leave for a sub, or maybe make it one of the workstation rotations that we're doing for pitch. Another one that I love that probably everyone has their own version of is Treble Clef Twister, or I think I call it Treble Twist Up or something like that. But it's where you put like the staff down on the floor and you spin, and you'll say right foot E, and they can pick either of the E's to put their right foot on, and so on. I found that this is a pretty fun game after we've done it in class as like a large group before, so that students have an opportunity to kind of see like, oh, how does this go? And then when I put it in a station, then they're all for it. So they'll, you know, take their shoes off or whatever, and they can play that. I have a twister spinner in my store if you look for Treble Twist Up, and you just print it out. I bought those little plastic spinners from the teacher store, so that, you know, you kind of poke a hole in, you put one part on the top, and then you kind of buckle it on the bottom, and then it spins. But you could just print the board and use a pencil and a paper clip, and put the paper clip down and put the pencil in the middle of it, and then flick the paper clip, and it would also be a spinner for that. So that's something that really 3rd grade all the way through 6th grade really, really, really loves. I found that the 5th and 6th graders are a little bit more successful with that, because they feel a little bit more solid with the pitch names by that point, and we've used them quite a bit. The next station, do I have it down here? No. The next station that I want to show you is something that's relatively new to my store, but it's actually something that I think a lot of us have been doing for a really long time, and that's like a matching game with pitches. And so here's the pretty container that I have them in. I think that I either got this at Michael's, never buy anything full price at Michael's, always use a coupon, or the Container Store. I don't remember which one, but they both have them, and you probably can find it in other places too. And then inside of this beautiful container are all these beautiful little colored boxes. These are actually for storing photographs, but they work so good for workstations and all sorts of music manipulatives that I don't really use them for pictures anymore. So then in there, I've got the little label on the pitch matchups, and you can see there's a whole bunch of different kinds, and I'll show you what's in there. Again, these are things that we've been doing for a long time. Dollar Tree for a long time had those little matching sets of like ketchup and mustard or peanut butter and jelly in their teacher aisle, and they were like those little note cards. And so I would write a word that you could spell with a musical alphabet on the ketchup bottle, and then on the mustard bottle I would write a treble staff and like spell out that word, and then at the workstation they just put the two together. So I've been using some things like that and some odds and end pieces that I'd made myself, which are essentially just things that are matching together, but I put them all in a bigger set. So this is the peas and carrots one. And so you'll see like the carrots have the note names on them, and the peas have the words on them. And there are a lot of different ways that I've used these collections to make a workstation or to make small group games, and I'm going to share a couple of those with you. So the first obviously is to match them up. So here I'm going to show you the hot chocolate one too. So the hot chocolate has the note names, and the marshmallows have the, oh babe, you know it. And then the kids just, these are down in a pile at the workstation, and they just match up the ones that, the word with how it's spelled out on the staff. But sometimes, instead of just matching it up for a game, we'll turn them all upside down. If you're gonna do them upside down, or yes, if you're going to do them upside down or flip them over, you might want to print on like cardstock, because this is printed on some pretty thin paper, and even when they're turned over on the floor, you can kind of see what's in them. So if you think that you might use it for that, and some of my sets are printed on thicker paper and some of them are not. So if you did that, then you would just lay them down like memory, and everybody gets to choose 2 cards, and you trying to find the cup that matches the marshmallow, or the steak that matches the potato, or the peanut butter that matches the jelly, or whatever the set may be. So that's another way to use them. Another way to use them is really just like flashcards. So just taking that stack that has, oh, they're always upside down. Taking the stack that has the word on it, and just having one student quiz another one, looking at that and saying, oh, that is A, and whatever the word would end up being. So they're a little prettier than regular flashcards, so that could be a good thing. Another way that I've done this, because kids love drawing on the dry erase board. I don't get it, but they do. When I had a chalkboard, that was even more of a novelty, to be able to write and draw on the chalkboard, but I only have a dry erase now. So in that case, I would take the stack of word cards like this, and one student would call out the word added, and the other student would go up to a staff that was on the board and draw the notes that would be used for added. The only thing that I ran across then is that, you know, there can be 2 different F's and 2 different E's. So all of these sets come with like kind of like a little cheat sheet. This really helps all sorts of different learners. So if you're having to differentiate, and you have, you know, some 4th and 5th graders that are still struggling even with just letter identification, then recognizing the letter and then remembering where it goes on the staff, that's kind of a big thing for them to do. So there's some, oh, that's just the workstation instruction. I think I have a peas and, oh, here's a peas and carrots one. So these are out there too, and that way if someone needs help with writing the word, or if they're ever like, that's not an E, the only E is on the bottom line, they can look and see that, yeah, okay, there's the E there. So that's another way to use them. And then the last way is probably my kids' favorite way to use them. Either using all of the ones with the notes on them, or sometimes all of the ones with the words on them. It just depends on how crazy we're getting. So we'll put all of these down on the floor face up, so that students can see them. And then they get to pick one of, hi Dee, mwah. Then they get to pick one of my really fancy schmancy fly swatters. I have probably, I don't know, 20, 25 different ones that are in all different shapes. And, you know, there's the kind that look like a guitar, and some with pretty flowers on it. The big pink one with lots of flowers is always the one like the big macho boy picks. Some of them are shaped like bugs, and I don't know. Anytime I see them at Dollar Store or Walmart or something, I pick them up. So, because we really like swatting things in my classroom. So these are laying all over the floor, and then the ones with the words on them then are in another pile. And so someone would be the person that picks. They would pick it up, and they would say, the word is gauge. And then anyone with the fly swatter, usually 2 to 4 people, depending on if we're doing this as workstations or small groups, or maybe even as a large group. I would have like 4 swatter kids up there. And swatter kids, that sounded weird, didn't it? Yeah. Anyway, so then they would say the word, and then the swatters would be, you know, swatting it, and the first person to swat the right answer either got a point for their team, or whatever other kind of reward that you would set up. I usually play it as teams, but in a workstation, that could be a little bit trickier to do. You may not have enough time to get through very many points that way. So that's using those pitch matchup sets that I just told you about. There's a set of 10 of these. So there are 10 different ones: the peas and carrots, the steak and potatoes, macaroni and cheese, a whole bunch of different ones like that. They're all bundled together in my store, or you can just take one and print it out and give it a try and say, is this really going to work for me? And I think that you'll like them. You may already have in your toolbox of awesomeness some other matching cards like this that might work with some of those ideas that I just shared with you. But before we're finished talking about pitch workstations, I wanted to talk about a couple of the ways that I store them. Someday, I'm going to be so brave, and I'm totally going to take you on a tour of my workstation closet. Right now, it is so full of awesomeness that I really need to clean out part of another cabinet to put some of it in, because some of my workstation props are like really big, you know, like those big foam dice and different things like that. So it's really full right now, but I thought rather than being brave and taking that stuff tonight, that I would just show you some of the stuff that I store them in. So one of the things is just those regular like dollar clear shoe boxes that you can get at Walmart, and with the lids on them, and then I'll label the side. I've got several of them that are stored in that, and then when I'm ready to use them, I just pull it out and plop it down where I want it to go in my room, and the workstation is ready, set, go. That's what I do with the pitch matchups too. I have some rugs in my room, and I'll just kind of scatter the rugs around and then put one of these on each of them, and we'll spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes doing a small group kind of activity where they practice these with just the 2 or 3 people that are in their group. So I already showed you the cool containers from Michael's or the Container Store, the photo holders. The old school way that I was storing everything for a while was just in a regular manila folder, and I would put the name on it up here. This was actually something I was going to leave for a sub, so I didn't quite have it all labeled and set out yet. And then either to staple or tape the sides that way. And then these little labels, like in different sizes. There's a sheet in each of the pitch matchup sets that has a little one, a medium one, and a big one. So however you're gonna store yours, you would have something to use for that. And so then I would just shove everything that I needed inside of there. And then these store really neatly in a file cabinet. Where I'm at now, I don't have tons of filing space, so this wasn't always the best option. And if I had all of these passed on at once and I was having a student collect them, it was so easy for them to dump. And then it would either be them spending a really long time sorting them, or me spending a really long time watching them sorting them and, you know, just wanting to smack myself. So I didn't like this option as well, but this is totally the cheapest and the easiest option, and the cards fit in there really, really well. The other option that I like for this size of workstation are these really cool plastic envelopes from Jam Paper, and you can Google jampaper.com. I actually learned about these on one of the music teacher pages on Facebook, and girl, if you are watching, you are one smart woman. These are totally revolutionizing my workstation cabinet. I bought like 5 or 6 different colors. They actually, the kind that I have, they're a little bit larger than letter size, but they expand a little bit, so you can put like bulky things in them. I can even put one of these boxes in them, and they come in lots of different colors. So my idea was to like totally color code everything. So if we were working on pitch, I would just pull out the orange folders. If we were working on rhythm, we would just pull out the green folders. Turns out that I have 10,000 rhythm stations, and so as I was, you know, organizing everything, I realized I didn't quite buy enough of the right colors and plan that out very well. So I started the color coding system with these cool envelopes from Jam Paper, but I haven't quite finished it. So maybe, again, someday when I take you on a tour of my workstation closet. I'll let you see that. So, and then the cool thing about these is that they're super easy. Let me do it like this. They're super easy to zip. So that's going to be great if kids are helping with that. And then I don't have to worry about stuff falling out of them, even if there are little pieces. I've put those hot dot pens. Have you ever seen the little hot dot things where you push it on the right or wrong answer and it goes or makes a funny sound or something? I've even put those, and those are pretty big and bulky. So I've been able to use those to store workstations as well. And then these would fit in a file cabinet, but again, I don't have tons of filing space where I am. So I just put them in another big tub so that all my pitch stations are together and all my rhythm station, my 10,000 rhythm stations are together. And that does make it a little bit easier when I am planning workstations. My workstations for 5th grade next time are going to be all about 16th notes. And so it's nice to have like all of them in one, so I can just pull out the tub and say, this will work, this will work, this won't work, and just pull everything out and have everything together like that. So I hope that some of these ideas were helpful for pitch workstations. I have blogged about workstations for teaching pitch names on the Treble Clef staff before, and you can find that on my blog if you go to mrskingrocks.blogspot.com, and you can search for pitch names and it should come up. Or if you go to the bulletinboardlady.com, you can click on blog and it will take you to the blog where you can search for that. And any of the other product things that I've mentioned should be linked up in the Facebook description. And I don't know how to do that on Instagram yet, but I will totally figure it out. But if you have questions, or if you're watching this in the replay, or if you just jumped in late and you have some questions, go ahead and leave them there. I will pop back on later tonight and try to answer any questions to confuse you further. Or if you're watching this on the replay, even a week or so later, I'd be more than happy to answer questions, to link up those resources that I've been using that are my favorite. And again, if you are new to the Bulletin Board Lady, my name is Tracy King, and you can find me at the blog addresses that I just mentioned. Facebook or Instagram, probably you're on one of those watching me right now. On Twitter, I'm at Tracy King, and gosh, where else am I? I'm all over the place. You'll be able to find me. Anyway, I hope that you have a fabulous, fabulous week. Thank you for joining me.